Previously, the divine messenger Krishna stayed at the humble abode of Vidura. As the sun rose, he concluded his rest and ascended his magnificent chariot. Resembling the peaks of Mount Kailasa, the chariot rumbled through the streets of Hastinapura as Krishna prepared to face the gathered lords in the royal assembly hall. Krishna entered the grand hall, walking between Vidura and Satyaki. The assembly, resembling the celestial court of Indra, fell into a hush. As the Vrishni hero approached, every king, including the venerable Bhishma and Drona, rose from their seats in a wave of instinctive reverence to greet Govinda. Krishna took his place upon a golden seat. Suddenly, a celestial glow filled the room as the rishis, led by the sage Narada, appeared from the heavens to witness the discourse. Krishna himself honored them, ensuring they were seated on jewel-decorated chairs before the assembly of Duryodhana and Karna could proceed. Addressing King Dhritarashtra, Krishna began to speak. His voice was deep and resonant, like the rumbling of a rain cloud or the beat of a great drum. Clad in his yellow garment, his presence radiating calm, he reminded the Kurus of their noble lineage, a house built on truth, compassion, and dharma. The tone shifted as Krishna issued a stern warning. He declared that the avarice of the Kauravas was inviting a terrible calamity that threatened to consume the entire earth. The greed of a few sons was casting a dark shadow over the ancient lineage of Bharata. Peace is in your hands, O king, Krishna argued. He painted a vision of unity where the Pandavas and Kauravas stood together. With the sons of Pandu as his protectors, Dhritarashtra's dominion would be invincible, ensuring a reign of endless artha and prosperity over the world. Krishna reminded the court of the stakes. He spoke of the terrifying power of an enraged Bhimasena and the peerless skill of Sabyasachi Arjuna. The Pandavas had fulfilled every condition of their exile. They now stood ready, either for the return of their share or for a war that no one could survive. Extending his hand in a final gesture of peace, Krishna made a direct plea to the blind king. Do not destroy the Kshatriyas of this world. Act as a father to the Pandavas as you do to your own. Return their rightful share and let prosperity return to your household. As Krishna concluded his speech, a heavy, suffocating silence fell over the hall. The kings and lords of the earth sat frozen, their heads bowed. The weight of his words, balanced perfectly between dharma and artha, left even the most arrogant warriors unable to find a reply. Breaking the silence, the sages, Narada and Kanva, stepped forward. They recounted ancient tales of pride and fall, warning Duryodhana of his folly. They revealed a divine secret, that Arjuna and Keshava were none other than Nara and Narayana, ancient eternal forces that no mortal army could ever hope to defeat. Coming next, Dhritarashtra sits in agony, caught between the wisdom of Krishna and the stubbornness of his son. The elders offer their final desperate advice as the window for peace begins to close.